A long time ago, deep in the west of Ireland, there was a dense forest, one that didn't appear on any map. People used to say it had a way of luring lost souls into its depths. One day, a young boy wandered into this mysterious place. The sun was about to set, and he had only 20 minutes left in his hands. Desperate to get out, he kept running. That's when he spotted a signboard. It read, "Point of no return." He paused for a moment, caught his breath, and then started running again. He ran without stopping, but no matter how far he went, there was no end to the forest. Suddenly, his eyes landed on the same signboard again. Just like that, similar signs were scattered all around the forest. Confusion crept in. His heart pounded against his chest as the eerie silence of the deserted woods made him even more uneasy. The sun finally set, and the birds had returned to their nests. Staying on the ground seemed too dangerous, so he decided to climb a tree. He climbed as high as he could, but just then, a branch snapped beneath his grip. He plummeted to the ground, hitting it hard. The pain was intense, so bad that he couldn't even stand. Struggling, he crawled toward his backpack and pulled out a knife. He had no choice but to wait for morning, but it wasn't going to be that easy. As darkness consumed the forest, strange and terrifying noises began to fill the air. Fear was written all over his face. Then out of nowhere, an unknown force grabbed him. What was the secret of this forest? Stay tuned to find out. A week later, we see a pet shop in a town in Ireland. A girl named Mina worked there. Tomorrow, she had to deliver a golden parrot to a zoo in Belfast. Since it was a full-day journey, she decided to take the parrot home with her after work. Mina was a lonely girl with no family. Her mom and dad had passed away 15 years ago. Now at 28, she still hadn't found a partner. Well, she was trying in her own way. The next morning, she set out for Belfast with the parrot. After driving non-stop for 4 hours, she spotted a gas station. There was a signboard covered with missing person posters. Unaware of what it meant, Mina continued down the same road. After refueling and taking a short break, she resumed her journey. A few hours later, according to Google Maps, she was only 100 kilometers from her destination. The road ahead was rough and surrounded by a dense forest. As soon as she entered the woods, the parrot started acting uneasy. The radio in her phone screen began flickering. Before she could figure out what was happening, the car's engine suddenly died and wouldn't start again. Mina stepped out and looked around. That's when she saw a signboard. As she walked closer, her heart skipped a beat. It read, "Point of no return." This was the same forest where that boy had been trapped. Hoping for help, Mina walked deeper into the woods, but there wasn't a single soul in sight. When she turned back to leave, she realized she was lost. Every tree looked the same. Exhausted from wandering, she finally sat down, unsure of what to do next. Just then, she heard footsteps approaching. Instantly alert, Mina turned to see a woman. But the moment their eyes met, the woman turned and ran in the opposite direction. Desperate for help, Mina chased after her. Running through the forest, she suddenly stopped in shock. In the middle of this dense wilderness, there was a shelter. She couldn't believe her eyes. The woman yelled at Mina, "If you care about your life, get inside the shelter in 5 seconds." Mina ran with all her strength and made it just in time. The shelter's door was shut tight. Inside, there were more people, and Mina was completely shocked to see them. Who were they? The woman's name was Madeline, the girl was Kira, and the boy was Daniel. Just like Mina, they were also lost souls trapped in this mysterious jungle. Madeline didn't mean to scare her. There was a reason behind it. Every morning, they would go out searching for a way to escape, but before sunset, they had to be back inside the shelter. Because the moment the sun went down, the creatures of this jungle would come out. They called them the Watchers. Today, Madeline was already late, which is why she had to rush back. The Watchers would come every night after sunset to see them. If anyone was missing, they might try to break into the shelter. That's why, every evening, they had to stand in front of them and be counted. They were here now. Their eerie screams echoed through the jungle, and then the sound of clapping filled the air. The whole place trembled. It meant the Watchers were celebrating because they had spotted a new girl inside the shelter. But to Mina, all of this sounded like pure nonsense. The next morning, the others tried to stop her, but she refused to listen. She grabbed her parrot and walked off alone, determined to find a way out. Honestly, her parrot seemed smarter than her. It kept repeating, "Don't go to die." After walking for a while, she suddenly heard a deep voice calling her name. It was a little girl, someone Mina thought she knew. Fear took over her. Heart pounding, she ran as fast as she could. But after hours of wandering, she still couldn't find the end of this jungle. Exhausted, she finally collapsed on the ground. And then, a hand touched her shoulder. It was Madeline. She looked at Mina and said, "Don't lose hope. We've all tried to escape this jungle, and we've all failed. Maybe this jungle was designed to create hallucinations so that no one could ever escape." But Mina had one more thing to figure out. There were countless signboards like this, all placed in a circular path 6 hours away from the shelter. That meant the shelter was at the center, and if they tried to go beyond these signs, they wouldn't make it back before sundown. Who could have created all this? Mina asked curiously. The only logical guess was that the owner of the shelter was behind it. Shira and Daniel had named him the Professor. Maybe he had been living in this jungle to study something, but they couldn't say for sure. Like every other day, they all returned to the shelter before sunset. After some casual joking around, Kira performed her usual evening dance for the watchers. She believed that if they saw her dancing, they would be pleased. The next morning, they set out again, carrying new hope. This time, Mina went with Kiara, and through her, she learned something new. The jungle was filled with hundreds of caves, all interconnected underground. Maybe that's where the watchers hid during daylight. Kira also spoke about her husband, John, who had left the shelter a week ago and never returned. It seemed he had tried his best to come back, but ultimately ended up climbing a tree. What happened to him after that, Kara had no idea. But every evening, she still hoped he would return. "So, how long have you two been here?" Mina asked with curiosity. They had been trapped here for nearly 5 months, while Daniel had been stuck for 8. Since John left, Daniel had to hunt for food. This had become their life now, because after all these months, they hadn't even seen the Watchers, let alone figured out how to escape the jungle. Mina decided it was time to change that. She was determined to enter the caves. Daniel tried his best to stop her, but she wouldn't listen. She had been stubborn since childhood, so stubborn that it had once cost her mother's life. His mom was traveling somewhere with her twin daughters. Cold winds were blowing outside. Mina's mom kept telling her to keep her hands inside, but Mina was stubborn. Because of her stubbornness, her fingers got stuck in the car window. And then they had a terrible accident. The girl she had been hallucinating about was actually her twin sister. The cave was deep, but somehow she finally reached the surface. Inside, there were a lot of things scattered around, including a bicycle. That's when Mina saw a watcher. The moment its hands touched the light, they started burning. She was terrified. Her body froze in fear, but controlling her panic, she grabbed a camera and the bicycle before leaving. To Madeline, they lied. They told her they found the bike and camera behind a big rock. Otherwise, she would have gotten mad at them and started lecturing about the rules. She believed that they had survived this long only because of the rules she had set. According to her, there was a limit, something the watchers liked. That's why they kept them alive. Now they had a camera. They connected it to the TV, waiting for the watchers to show up. Suddenly, there was a knock at the door. They could see human feet, but surviving in the jungle after sunset was impossible for any human. Then who was this? The person outside kept coughing. Sierra felt it was John. Just before she could open the door, Madeline stepped in. "That's not John," she said firmly. They had a simple way to confirm it. Kira asked John to name the book he had bought before coming here, but the thing outside couldn't answer. That meant it wasn't John. It was something else, pretending to be him. The next moment, it started smashing the camera and attacking the glass wall. After a few failed attempts, it left. Mina finally admitted her mistake. The next morning, they threw the bike back into the cave. Months passed like this, and now cracks had started forming between them. One evening, Mina and Kira saw Daniel tying Madeline up with a rope against her will. When they asked him why, he just said, "From now on, my rules apply here." The next moment, he ran off. Kira went after him to talk some sense into him, while Mina started untying Madeline. The sun was about to set, so they rushed toward the shelter. But Daniel refused to open the door. On top of that, he had locked up Shira too. Before things got worse, Madeline remembered a hiding spot. They quickly ran there and hid. That's when they saw them, the Watchers. They were tall, really tall, and there were so many of them. As soon as they realized Mina and Madeline were missing, they set off into the woods to hunt them down. Mina and Madeline seized the opportunity and ran back to the door. This time Daniel didn't make a mistake because now he, too, wanted to know more about the Watchers. Madeline had only one way to clear the tension between them. She stepped forward in front of the mirror to calm the Watchers. Then she finally revealed the truth about herself to the others. She was actually a professor of history. She had studied the past of this place. Unlike the rest of them, she hadn't gotten lost in the woods. She had come here to uncover the truth. One night she saw a Watcher, and the Watcher saw her. As the sun was setting, she hurried back to the shelter. That's when she heard a cracking sound behind her. When she turned, she saw the Watcher had changed its form. It was trying to look just like her, but it couldn't copy her completely. That's why every night they came back, to observe, to mimic, to perfect themselves. And that's why they would never let anyone leave these woods. Just then, some Watchers started climbing onto the shelter. They had never done that before. Maybe they were trying to get inside. Everyone rushed to block the door with the dining table. As they pushed it, the carpet underneath slid away, revealing a hidden door. Before the Watchers could break through the glass wall, they all rushed down through the secret passage. The walls down there were covered in documents about the Watchers. There was enough food to last for years. Someone had built this shelter to research them. Just then, Mina's eyes landed on a computer system. As she searched through it, she found a folder with a series of videos labeled Daywise. She clicked on Day 1 and learned that the owner of this shelter was Professor Rory Kilmartin. He had built this shelter to accomplish his mission. He carefully selected workers who had no money, no family, people who wouldn't be missed. Once their work was done, he left them outside to die. After years of intense research on watchers, one day, he came across a different kind of watcher, one that took the form of a little girl. That's how they managed to capture it. Mina then played the last video. By this time, Professor Kilmartin had failed in his mission. Now the watcher controlled everything. They were nothing but puppets in its hands. In the end, after shooting the watcher, the professor and his team decided to end their own lives. The research they had done was too dangerous for humanity. Some related information was also stored in their university office. So before dying, the professor made one final request to whoever was watching: destroy everything. Then he revealed an escape route. Near point 134, there was a river and he had a boat there. They could follow the birds to find it. With that, the video ended. 2 gunshots echoed. Finally, after months of terror, they found peace, at least for one last night. By morning, they set off toward point 134. After hours of traveling, they finally reached the location. But beyond that point, there was no turning back. If they crossed it, they wouldn't make it back to the shelter in time. Still, they decided to take the risk. Whatever happens, happens, they thought. Mina freed the parrot, watching it take flight, and without hesitation, they followed. As they moved forward, they stumbled upon a strange-looking stone with carvings of fairies on it. Madeline had read about this in books. Thousands of years ago, fairies and humans used to live together. But then, changelings started using their powers to scare humans, leading to a brutal war between them. In the end, humans won, and the remaining fairies were locked underground forever. This stone was actually the door to that prison. After being trapped for centuries, the fairies had lost their magic and wings. They wanted it all back. Every evening, they would return just to figure out how they lost their wings and powers in the first place. Through freezing cold, heavy rain, and countless obstacles, they finally got close to their destination. The sun was about to set, and the fairies were ready to break free. By then, the group had made it out of the forest and reached the river. Just as Professor had described, there was a boat waiting. Everyone ran toward it, except for Daniel. He heard John's voice calling for help and rushed to save him. That turned out to be his biggest mistake. The one in John's form wasn't him, it was a fairy, and before Daniel could realize it, the fairy killed him and took his form. But they still couldn't leave the forest yet, so Madeline, Mina, and Kara managed to escape safely. The next morning, they woke up in a secure place. After getting out of the river, they caught a bus and went their separate ways. But this wasn't the end of the story. Far from it. After everything she had been through, Mina finally reached home by evening. The next morning, she went to her university, where she found old documents about fairies. Professors' recorded tapes revealed a shocking truth. Fairies were originally wingless wild creatures. It was only after meeting humans that their golden era began. Some fairies even befriended humans and had children with them. And then everything changed. Children born from fairies and humans had immense powers. They could shape-shift into anyone, even perfectly mimic them. But when humans cursed the fairies and trapped them in the forest forever, historians assumed they had gone extinct. However, no historian ever confirmed it. Maybe the professor believed he could revive that extraordinary race by working with fairies, but he failed miserably. Right next to his office was his bedroom, where Mina discovered something that left her stunned. Meeting Chiara had now become crucial for her, so she immediately got her address and went to her house. Chiara was already expecting her. The moment they met, Mina said, "I need to show you something." It was about Madeline. She was the professor's wife and had passed away years ago. Then who was with him in the forest? Perhaps the professor had been researching fairies in hopes of bringing his wife back. He had captured a fairy, befriended it, and successfully created an identical version of his dead wife, Madeline. But he couldn't control her. That's why, when he tried to eliminate her that night, Madeline might have killed him instead. Meaning, Madeline was one of the Watchers. Unknowingly, they had brought a monster here. But one question still haunted them. If Madeline was a Watcher, how was she able to walk in daylight? Anyway, Mina had to send her back to the forest at any cost, which is why she had called her here. They were waiting for her when a car pulled up, but the person who stepped out wasn't Madeline, it was Chiara. That meant the Chiara Mina had been talking to all this time was actually the same fairy the professor had trained. The next moment, she transformed into John and knocked Chiara unconscious. Mina didn't even get a chance to escape, and that's when Madeline revealed her true identity. She was the most unique child of her kind. She could even walk in daylight. That's why everyone called her the Daywalker. However, despite countless attempts, she couldn't find a way out of the enchanted forest. Then one day she met the professor. He promised to help her escape, but eventually betrayed her and tried to shoot her, so Madeline had to kill him. Madeline always wanted to know why she was different from her kind. To find out, she stayed close to humans and studied them, but she still never found the answer. Now that Mina knew the truth, she had to die. Saying this, Madeline stepped forward to finish her. Mina swore swore she would never reveal her secret, but humans couldn't be trusted. They had deceived the fairies centuries ago, trapping them underground for who knows how long. Mina realized her end was near, so she made one last attempt. She revealed an ancient secret. Centuries ago, fairies used to live among humans. The only way to do it was by marrying humans and having children. These children would be half fairy, half human. They could walk in daylight and shapeshift however they wanted. It was all written in history. That meant Madeline was a hybrid of a human and a fairy. There could be more like her, living in hiding among humans. As she finally understood her true identity, Madeline's wings emerged. She spared Mina's life and set out on a journey to find others like her.